Hello everyone. Um yeah, I'm back and I finally finished cleaning all this engine down because my god, it was filthy and carbon buildup was immense. So yeah, I spared you most of that. You probably just watched a small time lapse depending on how I edited this video of me just finishing that off and also applying some rust prevention to the irons. The irons is, for those who don't know rotary engines, let's close the garage door. It's raining and it's really loud. So apologies if you could hear that. Okay, so yeah, so the irons, which are basically the rotary is a bit like slices of a cake, and you've got some aluminium parts and some steel parts. The steel parts are called the irons. The aluminium parts are called the housings. The steel parts were a little bit rusty, so I put rust prevention on them after degreasing them. They went through 2 rounds. Some parts went through 3 rounds of degreasing. The rotors themselves have gone through many rounds of degreasing and decarboning and yeah, all that good stuff. So I've been told by a couple of people that as cool of all this is, all this videoing of me building this engine, they have no idea or very little idea how a rotary actually works. So I'll give a very brief explanation of how this works. If you Google it, there's many other YouTube channels that do a much more comprehensive breakdown of how this all works. But more or less, as you probably gathered from things I've said throughout the past few videos, there's no pistons. Not anything that resembles a conventional piston anyway that goes up and down. We've got only things that go round and round. And they go round and round eccentrically. And eccentrically means off center. For anybody who doesn't know what that means, it basically means that they go in an ellipse. They go around like this, rather than just round and round, a bit like a clown car wheel, should we say. So how does that give us power? How does that give us propulsion? That gives us power and combustion in the same manner. So the only similarity between this and a piston engine is the fact that it gives you power through the old suck, squeeze, bang, blow, which yeah. But basically, so this is the center iron. So this is the middle of the engine. Here, if I just adjust you a little bit. Okay, so center iron. So we have an inlet. So this is more or less the same for all the irons. So the end ones, this is just the middle one. It's simpler because it's only got 2 ports rather than 3. The outer ones have got 2 inlet ports and 1 exhaust port, but it does the same thing. So inlet and then exhaust. So we go around like this. And the way that it does that is this thing, the rotor, moves on an elliptical pattern inside. So basically, when it's sat here, so it's quite difficult to show you because I don't, need more hands. But basically, air comes in here, so there'll be the open side of the triangle, if you like. So the point will be here, point will be here, point would be here. Then it spins round, and then as it spins around, it gets closer to this side. So it, hang on, yes, all right, that is correct. So it gets closer to this side, and that compresses the air. And then on the housings, so here, there's the spark plugs. So it comes around, compresses, and then basically all the air that was in that triangle there is now in this tiny space here, because this the flat side of the triangle is against this area. So that's all compressed air and fuel. So then the spark plugs, so there's two basically per cylinder, one leading, one trailing, because the combustion area is quite long. So there's two, basically combusts just as it rolls past the point of no return, if you like. So the gap at the bottom of the triangle starts to get bigger than the gap at the top of the triangle to the edge. It fires the fuel, and then the fuel pushes that round, and then basically that all that gas and air expands, pushing it around until the fact that it gets to this area, and then it can escape through the exhaust port. And then basically once it's rolled past the exhaust port, it all happens again, and it just goes round and round. And now, because there's sort of like a dead area, so when it fires, it could sort of, like, you're thinking, what's making it go around the same direction? It could fire and then push it backwards. Well, it can't, because there's two of these stacked up, and they're out of phase with each other. So basically, they're always forcing the engine round in one rotation direction, and that's more or less how this whole shebang works. In a very brief explanation. So back to the task in hand. What am I doing next? So basically everything's degreased, as I've mentioned, and got rust killer on the bits that need rust killer. So the next job is to mask everything up. I need to paint everything, gonna all freshen up, and I need to block, because I'm not going to be using injection. These have two-stage injection on them, again on the center iron. See these two holes? So yeah, I don't need them anymore, because I'm going to be running a carb. So I need to make some plugs. Probably best to tap in some threads and put a big set screw in there, grub screw, blank those off, and then yeah, I'm going to be just waiting for some bits to arrive, and then we can start building this engine and maybe run it on the bench as like a test. But yeah, getting a bit ahead of myself there, because I need to design a inlet manifold, because they make inlet manifolds for doing this exact conversion, but they are insanely expensive for just a piece of aluminium. So I'm going to probably mock one up in CAD, 3D print it, check that it's all okay, and then send it off to be either 3D printed or machined out of something metal, or some very high temperature plastic. Yeah, so I'll cut to a time lapse now of me preparing this all for paint. See you in a bit. Okay, so with the magic of editing, we fast forward, and yeah, I've changed clothes. because I had to have a shower after all of that. Pretty filthy. But we have, as you've probably just seen from the time lapse, these are now coated in enamel engine paint. So I would go ahead now and do the housings, so the aluminium parts, but I think this video has been long enough, so we'll save that for the next one. So yeah, also I've had a new housing arrive, so that's good, and it's also in very good condition, so I'm happy about that. So after all this lot is painted up, we are waiting on parts. But yeah, so yeah, finish this and then we can get to the exciting bits. So I hope you enjoyed that one. This one was a long one, wasn't massively interesting, but the people that have spoken to me want to see everything, not just what I would consider the good bits. They want to see it all. So yeah, so hopefully now we've got everything clean and we've started to paint, we can get to some exciting bits like designing inlet manifolds and ignition systems and that sort of thing. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you. And yeah, if you're enjoying this, listening to me ramble about engines and various other things, if you could subscribe and like the video. I know you hear that from every YouTuber, but yeah, it helps. And then obviously if we can get this going, then it will inspire me to do more projects and show you more interesting things that I get up to in this workshop other than just engine-y bits. Yeah, so again, thanks to everyone that comments and is following along, and I'll see you on the next one.
Mazda RX-7 engined Toyota GT86. It's very difficult, isn't it? What would you say? Fuck off! You put this on YouTube. If this goes on YouTube, but yeah, mate.